That's right.
Yep.
Call to order this meeting of Monroe County Redevelopment Commission, Wednesday, November 20th. Would you please?
Commissioner Martin.
Present.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Present.
Commissioner Kiesling.
Here.
Commissioner McCarty.
Present.
And is Commissioner Tucker online?
All right, but I don't think he made
He
it.
said he was going to maybe late, didn't he?
He said he was in Indy and he was going to attempt to attend
Oh, that's right.
virtually, but it does not appear he's made it.
Like Lisa?
Yes.
I have a packet here and I have a packet here. Which one do I?
This is the, you got the right packet.
What's this?
This is,
I know this is added.
this
I
is
know.
updated.
I know. I got that, but I
Yeah.
got
Okay.
two packets sitting here.
Okay.
Is this yours or?
First item on our agenda is the annual spending report. Jeff had done some updates on this report as a result of comments from our last meeting. Does anyone have comments about the status of the report now?
Well, I tried diligently to work through it this afternoon. It's the only time I had. And I didn't really have any questions, really. I guess the only thing I would ask is for us to know how much money we still have available to spend on anything.
Different type of report. I have some questions because I'm having trouble getting numbers to add up.
Yes. Well, maybe that's my problem I'm having.
So, thank you for adding the overview section, which gives us the kind of the summary of each of the districts that
Right.
we have.
That was good.
In your fifth paragraph, the Curry Pike TIF, you can make that a capital I, that would make it look a little better.
Which
In the
one?
capital F?
Capital F, that would help, yeah. The F is not as noticeable as the I.
Okay.
All right, under the debt payments, you got a West Side TIF bonds, an amount of $695,865 budgeted. Then you have two entries, one totaling $113,713, and the other totaling $354,613. Well, if I add those two numbers together, I get $668,326, which is not $695,865. So what is the other $27,539 doing?
And I noticed that as well. That's why I wanted to make sure I included the budgeted amount in there, because those two do not add up. And so I wanted to make sure that we knew what was budgeted, but also what was the actual payments according to our schedule. So
Where's the budgeted amounts? Where do you get that number?
it's what has been approved by the council.
Approved by the council.
When?
Okay.
End of October.
$27,000 issue.
It's not, if they budgeted too little, that would be a problem. Budgeting too much, I don't think is a problem.
Oh, there's somewhere it says that we could borrow from another account, right?
Well, if we have more money in there than we need, then we do not need the budget to borrow. I am unaware of why those numbers don't add up, other than potentially to make sure it's always over budget a little bit, to make sure that there isn't any issue when the invoices come.
Okay, that helps. Under the, all right, under the State Road 46 corridor, there's some verbiage here in the double asterisk, and then there are two numbers. The one is total of 2460 without the principal and interest being stated, and then there's a budgeted number of 441. I assume a budgeted number to make payments on whatever is drawn on the outstanding available bond of $4,434,000 listed under item L. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is, the 441 reflects what is in a similar fashion of the west side, but reflects what is in our annual report, that we assume that that the bridge project was already done by now. And so that's the number from the annual report that's in the budget. As you can see, the 2460, we haven't gotten any invoices from them to this point as to work they've already done, and they're supposed to complete it next year. So that number may be revised, but the budgeted number should cover any revision.
Whatever due in the year.
425,
Yes, for 2025.
2025, based upon what is going to be available and what our spend plan is at the present moment.
Our spending plan is going to reflect what we had anticipated being the full amount being due if the money had all been expended by the end of the year.
So whatever gets borrowed is going to be prorated over the life of the TIF. And that will be our annual amount, plus interest.
Correct, and they just haven't drawn down to what our initial expectations.
All right, that's good. All right.
The money's there.
Yeah.
The Curry Profile TIF bond, here we've got an outstanding payment of $1,840, which is paying off whatever has been set aside already. But then you've got a $22,189 budgeted, and then down here, you got a Curry Profile bond principal balance of $73,616. So I'm assuming the 22 is 2025 payments on that balance. Is that correct?
No, the 1840 would be what we would owe if we wanted to make the minimum payment. Last year, we went ahead and started paying more than that to get that bond principal amount down to zero as quickly as possible, because we've heard from the developer their project is they're not going to utilize any more of that bond, so we want to pay that bond down so we can officially retire it and then have more options once.
Which bond is that again? I remember doing that, but which bond was that?
It's the Curry Profile TIF bond.
Okay.
So we've got 22,000 budgeted for next year. We've got a $53,000 debt. So it's still going to take us a couple of years to pay it down. Is that right?
If revenues don't increase, yes.
Right. At the present revenue stream.
Right.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Question in regards to I don't want to interrupt you, Richard, if you're on a roll.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, on our Curry Profile TIF, is there any way we can accelerate that so we get that bond taken care of?
That's what we're doing. We're accelerating to the extent our revenues allow us.
It's only the revenues. Is there any other way that we can utilize anything in redevelopment? Because I'm just, like anything, the quicker you can change something out, less administrative costs, less administrative things that have to be done. Or is this just simply revenues will take approximately another 3 years to?
I think this is a matter of those revenues will take another 3 years. I'd have to investigate any other scheme with bond council advisors, because when we created that TIF, we kind of carved it out of the west side TIF. I don't know what would happen if we went and asked them, hey, can we just put it back in and then utilize west side to pay off? It would, with the current GE plant, it would then lower the clock back to what the west side TIF would be. And I think that at some point in the future, the hope is that something will happen there. We'll get some revenue and we'll be able to support the redevelopment of that facility.
Okay. Makes sense. Keep
They've
it in
done some
that way, minimal amount for the next 3 years. Okay.
Yeah. They've done some improvements on one of the buildings, which probably raises the revenue on that building, but otherwise, I don't think there's any, oh, the parking lot got done. Okay. All right. Then you've got a total debt payments of 1,159, but in the total column, you've got the Fullerton Pike Bridge Fund, and you've got it annotated up there, but you don't have it annotated on the total debt payments. So it reads a little funny. Because then the total under
and I-
debt doesn't add up to 1159 because you got a 1631 in the column.
Well, I think what has happened and why we have the total debt payments of what it is because for 2025, the entire debt payment's going to be paid out of the major bridge fund. And that's how that.
Could we then put that single asterisk down here on total debt payments as well?
Yes.
And then I make sure that you verify the $7 million figure, which is the total of A through O. I didn't go back. Didn't look. 1.19.
I think the big thing there is that the bond that we already have outstanding has still over $4 million in it, and so we include that.
Yes.
To dissipate all that.
Yeah, but even then, I still don't get that much money. 69. Get us about 61.
We'll confirm it.
Yeah, go ahead and confirm that. Those are all the questions I had. This is due when?
End of the month.
End of the month. Okay, so let me move that we approve the annual spending plan subject to the editorial correction under the overview, just to the total debt payments, verification of the total of A through O.
I'll second that motion. I do a discussion in regards to a question in regards to this spending plan that we're putting forth through the DL. Goes to the Department of Local Government Finance.
Correct.
Okay, and with that, based on the way the spending plan has been presented, we have the ability, if necessary, to adjust it throughout the year.
Yes, the back page says it
In
recognizes
this memorandum thing.
It says that basically this is the intent, and that if things may happen that may change that intent.
For this.
I just wanted to verify for the benefit of the public in regards to it, that we've
Good
looked
idea.
at this
Good idea.
of what we're filing with the state, and we've taken into consideration all the possibilities so that if there is something that has to be done, that we have the ability to fund it accordingly based upon what our finances allow. Okay.
I believe most of what you're thinking of would fall under, this is subject to including, as an example, unanticipated economic development opportunities, making it appropriate for the Redevelopment Commission to make expenditures not anticipated in this spending plan.
Covered it well. Just, I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
A motion and a second, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Yes,
Commissioner McCarty.
Yes.
Motion is approved 4-0.
do all the numbers, but I did read through the whole thing, online, actually.
Next, we have 3 sets of minutes for August, September, and October.
Cassidy was at one of them. You weren't you? Online?
I came in late.
Weren't you online? Line
I
on
came
one
in-
of them,
I came in late,
but it's not listed that way.
yeah. Well, when I came in late, it was probably halfway through the meeting.
If he was here, he should be listed.
Pardon?
If he was here at
Well, I was online.
for the September meeting?
Yeah.
We don't show you for the September meeting.
Last one you were not at, right? I didn't see any, I don't, that's the only one I saw online, but
Yeah, let's go ahead and take these,
I can tell you that Randy had texted our meeting and said that he was in front at the time, and that if we needed him to Zoom, he would, and I told him we had a quorum.
And I zoomed in late.
all right.
Or watched it.
technically, so did we make, did we
No,
pass?
yeah, just
All right,
pass
so
me
these-
out.
So these are accurate the way they sit. Okay. Let's,
A bit more complicated
do
all
you
the time.
mind if we do all these at once?
I think that would be preferable.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Monroe County 1st, September 18th, and October 16th.
I move.
We have a motion,
Second.
motion and a second to approve the minutes of the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission for August 1st, September 18th, October 16th.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Keesling, Commissioner McCarty.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 4-0.
All right, on to claims. All right, we have a claim packet. How do I? Have an approval of claims that was originally submitted in October, and for some reason, and we didn't have a quorum
Right.
that could approve. So we now have a quorum, and we can work these claims totaling $162,741.50. This is work associated with various projects and the spring payment for RBB. Questions from anybody?
Proof that we approved the claims. I don't know what's the date is, but for $162,741.50.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the claims originally submitted in October 2024 of American Structure Point for $2,712.47, American Structure Point for $3,879.74, Indiana Department of Transportation for $10,000, and RBB SC Spring 2024 $46,149.39 for a total of $162,741.50.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Keesling,
Yes,
Commissioner McCarty.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 4-0.
this is for the October, originally the October set of claims.
Yes, that's October. Okay, we have another set of claims for November, which consists of one item for $246.96. We will note that on the original form that was sent out, this was a much higher amount, which resulted from an error in transcribing the information which had been transmitted. If you look on the back of your original approval of claims document, you'll see that there are 2 highlighted items. And if you look at the accounts payable voucher, those 2 highlighted items correspond to work on the multi-use trail, and the other items are for different projects. So only those 2 items should have been on this claim at a total of $246.96. Jeff has reprinted the claim form so that it correctly states the $246.96. Do we have any questions about this claim?
I just have to thank you for catching that, because as we look through the packet, it looks like this occurred in that. So I appreciate you catching that and read.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims for November.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the claim for November 2024 for the Rogers Group in the amount of $246.96, which is the total of the claim. Please read the roll.
Commissioner Martin? Yes. Commissioner Cassidy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling? Commissioner McCarty?
Yes.
Approved 4-0.
Good. Moving along. Staff comment. Let's go for Lisa first, since she's out there in the ether land.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any updates.
I hear her.
Fullerton Pike is moving
Lisa,
along.
Lisa, we can't
What?
quite hear you.
You cannot, I don't really have a big update, so.
You don't have anything to tell us?
No, we're just moving along with Fullerton Pike and the Vernal Pike project.
Okay.
Do we have an anticipated date on Fullerton, Lisa?
So that project is scheduled to be done by July 2025. Did you catch that?
Yes.
July 2025.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we done? Is the county done paving for the year?
We just finished last week.
Okay. All right. Song is done. Good, Jeff.
Not really. I'm just hearing from some people in the community that are thinking about maybe a potential areas where we may want to investigate, but it's really very early. A lot of it has to do with the lack of available sewer, and so we're hearing a lot about people struggling with that, and maybe potentially looking at a project that would involve new sewer, and of course expense to it. And whenever that happens, they always say, well, is TIF an option or something like that? And so they really just very preliminary hearing from people who have been discussing that. So kind of put that on your radar.
Something of that nature would be carved out as its particular area in order to serve. Okay.
All right, commissioners' comments. Colin, anything from you?
Yeah, basic question, I guess. In light of the county's purchase at North Park, how would that affect that TIF?
Good question.
Well, it's a good question. I think, off the top of my head, it affects it in 2 different ways. One is it's going to take part of that TIF and make it not taxable, right? Which will hurt TIF revenues. I think the other side of it is it's going to have probably 400 to 500 plus employees on the site that the county utilizes. I think our current justice system has place. And so it should garner at least a little interest in developing the other areas in that area to help, supplement that use. What happened, when I was speaking with the seller, I was like, this is kind of a unique situation, right? I can't point to you anywhere that I know of where this entire judicial structure has been relocated that far away, right? So I don't know, good, bad, or indifferent, what it will mean at the end of the day. So, it's a great question, but it's hard to answer with any certainty because we've not had any experience, and I've not seen any experience where that has happened and utilized. I think the closest right now is looking at maybe Indianapolis, but then they put it in a place that they really didn't expect that kind of growth to occur around it. So I don't know.
And it's an honest question, given the nature of it. So it does sound complicated, but I thought I'd ask. I think it's, my additional comment would be, I don't see how this is going to work long term. It is what it is, but statutorily, you also have the clerk in charge of voting. So is that going to move? I know it's for the commissioners and the people putting that together, but having been in the jury pool this month, I've been excused, but they're hardworking people, and there's a lot of impact. When we go to lunch, we go out to lunch in Forest, right? And so there are going to be jobs impacted downtown. But I'm just curious how this is going to affect what we set out for, or what's been set out for that area in the future. And I just see that bifurcating one or multiple aspects of county government from the other, I don't know how that's going to play out. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Add a little bit of knowledge I have. One of the things we've discovered is that the demand for sewer services from that facility would essentially exhaust the services that are now available in the area.
Right, that's what I
So
thought.
part of the plan has to be additions to that plant that would allow us to service other customers in that area. We will get to the threshold where IDEM will require us to prepare a plan to expand the plant at a minimum. We think we've been toying with ideas about what we might want to do, but we're still at such an early stage, we don't really have all of the particulars about what the demand's going to be. But we are conscious of the fact that particular sewer facility there has a large area to service, which is essentially vacant at this point, but is obligated to be able to service that area in the future. And we had a plan. This shifts that plan considerably, and we will be paying close attention to what goes on and make certain that we are able to service that area well into the future. Yeah.
When we look at that particular area, as Cullen brought up, and we're taking, essentially we're taking 50 acres out of the TIF area in regards to taxable income in the future. Are there any particular projects besides Hunter Valley Road, which is funded at the present moment, that we're anticipating that will be coming through the redevelopment that will have to be paid through that TIF, of which we've now looked at or put in a position of revenue will be decreasing as development occurs?
And I guess maybe that it might be a little premature for that question. I think by December 1st, the developer is to have a plan to the county as to what he thinks the PUD of the area should be amended to. And I think once you have that, that may answer some of those questions. Certainly it'll give you a blueprint to ask the questions from. And so, it's not December 1st and we don't have that yet, but I think once we get that, that would certainly play a role into what at least the developer's thinking, and as it goes through that planning process, a lot of the infrastructure needs and what should go there and what shouldn't should be at least brought up, if not answered.
At that point, once this moves forward in regards to it, there'll be roads and infrastructure that will be necessary to be done in order to serve the county. facility.
Clearly that's right, but I also think that it's, I guess what I've always seen, and part of our agreement is splitting the cost of the road that would be between the two properties, between the county and the developer. But I think other than that, I think most of it will be internal to our site. So I think that we are looking at that as being a project cost and not something that would be outside what
Okay, it wouldn't fall outside into the TIF area, that would fall under the financial responsibility of the Redevelopment Commission.
that is the anticipation.
Thank you.
You will recall that when we were looking for residential opportunities, we did talk about providing roadway infrastructure from the northwest corner
Right.
through to connect up with Curry Pike and Hunter Valley Road. That particular kind of infrastructure could occur, but it would be driven by development along that route rather than this particular facility. So I don't see that facility has a lot of impact on that, except that it might, in some cases, spur development, particularly of a commercial nature, close to that facility. I mean, I can
Yes.
to feed a lot of people who have to be there anyway.
Oh, yeah, that's part of it. It's coming.
Follow up with your comment, though. I had some people from who work in the justice system were concerned about having access to services that they now get here in the downtown. And I think that will develop as time goes on anyway, if we make it attractive enough for them. That there will be other things developing around it, so.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have other things that are going to be necessary also. That's my feeling anyway. Because wherever you go, you're going to have to find those services anyway, regardless.
Yep.
But if you make it so that it's attractive for other developers to come in to serve some of those people.
As the history goes.
I'm trying to do some visions, because I dealt with it when I first became a commissioner back 20 years ago, 30 years ago almost now.
Well, taken into consideration as the sewer plant was built, the area was PUD'd off, we were supposed to have a hospital there.
That's
And-
right,
and
well,
that
actually
shift-
across the street.
And that
didn't
ship
happen.
has sailed.
Yes.
And consequently, we now are in a situation where we're taking things from the downtown Bloomington area, which is still in Monroe County, and we're putting them into the outskirt area, which in turn makes us more of a car-centric community.
Yes, absolutely.
And with that, as people are done, we'll have busing, we'll have
Absolutely.
transportation costs.
Things will change.
And there'll be things change. The decision has been made, we know where it is now. The question is, how do we mitigate the cost to all of our taxpayers to be the lowest, best thing that creates the least impact for the residents of Monroe County? So we're there.
Well said.
Now, how do we deal with it as the Redevelopment Commission in order to make sure that the money that we've allocated in a TIF is utilized in such a fashion that it benefits every member of the community in the best way for the next 50 to 100 years?
Yes, because that will be serving every member of the community now.
Exactly.
In a
That's
way we
right.
didn't envision.
Yep.
Okay.
Steinsville to Harrisburg.
That's right. Yep.
Good discussion.
Yep.
We will have lots to look at in it.
Brings me to one other thing that I just brought up when I utilized the term Steinsville. We approved today, the commissioners approved today, a grant to assist in the Steinsville sewer plant with Richard. I want to thank you
Good,
for.
they did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You for
That's right, you're on
moving that
aren't
forward
you?
to try to keep a development sewer area viable. And as we look at from a redevelopment commission, to look at the long-term benefit of how we actually encourage that development so that sewer plant in itself and that community can help to grow.
Few twists and turns, but I think we have all everything is in place, and I now have all the documents to give you tomorrow, except my signature on the letter, and we are ready to go, and it's been paid for now. The improvements have been put in place. We're in a lot better shape there than we were.
Get it to me tomorrow.
Sounds like
I'll see what I can do to get you guys a check on next Wednesday.
Perfect.
Really appreciated for the commissioner's standpoint, Richard, and your work, Jeff, on that, because that is something that's been in place, and it is part of a community redevelopment that we can
That's
grow.
right.
And quite frankly, over the years, have more people that understand what a quarry lad is and where they came from.
That's right.
We can just figure out some people don't want to live out there.
Yes.
That's the difficult part.
Yes.
Losing that elementary school made a huge
Right.
difference.
It's like Unionville, Smith, I mean, or any town in America where you lose a school, you
It's
lose the
awful.
community.
That's
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
definitely.
And, well, we certainly, as a company, we made our investment there, and there are people moving to the outskirts in Bean Blossom Township, but
Right.
closer to town would be great.
With that, I will put an unashamed plug in for the general store in downtown Steinsville. If you get an opportunity, it's a great place to have
That's in
lunch.
Mercantile.
That's a
something.
fun place to go to.
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Okay.
So do we have a meeting in December and January, or what's the schedule?
We're meeting third
We have a
Wednesday. I think we're scheduled.
Yes, and I think we are scheduled for.
Pardon? I can't hear you.
We've scheduled this year for the third Wednesday of every month. I don't know if we'll have any business, so I will try to get with Lisa to see if we anticipate any, and if we don't, we'll let you know, and then you can make a decision whether you want to have it or not. Certainly, we'll get you any information I have by December 1st for the zoning of the North Park.
Okay.
And that might be a meeting you guys want to have just to look at. And then January, we will go ahead, if we haven't already. I think we typically schedule the third Wednesday of January as well when we do the annual meetings for the first meeting next year.
But December is maybe.
December would be a maybe. The January one should
I
happen.
already have things scheduled for that day, so believe it or not.
Okay. With that, I think we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I moved it.